case briefs, and so much more. LSData's got what you're looking for.
In a contentious case argued before the Colorado Supreme Court in 1995, Nelson v. Elway, a dispute over the sale of two car dealerships pitted two former business partners against each other. Plaintiff Nelson had decided to sell his two car dealerships to his business partner, defendant Elway. Suffering from significant debt, Nelson offered to sell the dealerships under the provision of receiving continual royalties from the future profits of the outfits. This provision, however, never made it into the signed agreement. Adding to the complexity of the case, Nelson had also decided to transfer control of his debts to General Motors Acceptance Corp., GMAC. Upon assuming control of the debts, GMAC ordered Elway not to partake in any side agreements with Nelson, effectively burying the projected royalty provision. The initial judgment in the trial court fell in favor of Elway, who received a summary judgment, a ruling that denied Nelson the royalties he anticipated. The court relied heavily on the strict importance of the merger clause, a familiar approach within textualist courts. These courts are robust proponents of adhering strictly to the four corners of a written agreement. Any deviation from the text of an agreement can only be based on parole evidence, specifically when the court has determined that ambiguity exists within the agreement. However, this ruling spurred dissent from Justice Lohr as well as Justices Kirschbaum and Scott. These judges argued that merger clauses should not automatically determine the integration of an agreement. They contended that the real intent behind the contract, obscured by the rigid adherence to the textual reading of it, required examination. Despite the dissenting view, the verdict of the Colorado Supreme Court favored Elway, essentially asserting that an overarching exclusive agreement was in place. And that agreement was the one signed by both parties, expressly excluding any provisions for royalties. The reference to such a provision outside the finalized contracts were, therefore, rendered null and void. This landmark case underscored the significance of the four corners of a contract and the limitation and possible dangers of oral agreements in the business world.
Case briefs, and so much more. LSData's got what you're looking for. Visit lsd.law, elevate your mind. Leave the stress of class.